Today's lesson is going to be about polynomials. We're going to be adding, subtracting, and multiplying. So we'll first do adding and subtracting. Adding is just combining like terms. So remember that when you're adding, or when combining like terms, we don't change exponents. So let's look at an example. So we have two binomials, and we are adding them. 4x squared minus 8 plus negative 10x squared plus 2. So for adding, just get rid of the parentheses. Right, so let's rewrite this with no parentheses. Instead of plus negative 10x, we'll just make this minus 10x squared. Now, all that we do is combine like terms. Like terms have to have the same variable, so the same letter, and the same exponent. So we can combine 4x squared and negative 10x squared. That becomes negative 6x squared. And we can combine constants, so negative 8 and positive 2 become negative 6. And you're done when there are no more like terms. So there's nothing else we can combine. So we are done. Now let's look at an example of subtraction. So when subtracting, there is a negative 1 that needs to be distributed to the second polynomial. So remember, when we distribute, we are multiplying. So I'm going to rewrite. The first one stays the same. We don't need the parentheses. And to get rid of the second set of parentheses, I have to distribute that negative 1. Negative 1 times positive 4x squared becomes negative 4x squared. Negative 1 times 5x becomes negative 5x, and negative 1 times negative 9 is positive 9. The other way you can think of it is that each term in the polynomial, in the second polynomial, we just change the sign of each one. And once we've done that, we can just combine like terms like we did when we were adding. So remember, they have to have the same variable, same exponent. So we can combine 10x squared and negative 4x squared, but we can't combine those with the negative 7 or the negative 5 because they don't have the exponent of 2. Start with the highest exponent and then work your way down. So 10x squared and negative 4x squared becomes 6x squared. Then we can do negative 7x and negative 5x. that becomes negative 12x. And then the constants, 7 and 9, are positive 16. Now let's talk about multiplying. I guess I should say we're multiplying monomials and polynomials. Monomials just have a single term, polynomials have multiple terms. So let's multiply two monomials. We have 10x to the power of 4 times negative 10x to the power of 5. So when you are multiplying, you're going to multiply the coefficients. In this case, that's 10 and negative 10. And then you're going to add the exponents. In order to multiply the variables and add the exponents, they have to have the same base. So it has to be the same letter. So 10 times negative 10 is negative 100. And then we're going to multiply x to the power of 4 times x to the power of 5. And when we add the exponents, it becomes x to the power of 9. Let's do another example. 2s to the power of 5 times 4s. So we can multiply 2 times 4, that's 8. Now when we multiply s to the power of 5 times s, you need to remember that a letter has an invisible 1 if there's no exponent there. So when you multiply, you have to remember to add that 1. This becomes s to the power of 6. Now let's multiply a monomial by a polynomial. So what we're doing now is distributing the term on the outside to each term on the inside. X times negative 9x squared becomes negative 9x to the power of 3. Because there's a 1 in front of this x, that's being multiplied by the negative 9. And remember, there's a small 1 here that's being added to the 2. And then x times negative 10x becomes negative 10x squared. The last example I'll do today so we're going to distribute this negative 10x squared. Negative 10 times negative 8 is positive 80. And we add the exponents, so we have x to the power of 4. Negative 10 times negative 6 is positive 60. Again, don't forget to add this exponent here, so it's x cubed, and negative 10x squared times negative 2 is just positive 20x squared. So if the negative 2 doesn't have a variable, it doesn't change. But we have to keep the x squared that was within negative 10. That's what you'll be doing in today's practice.